Hi everyone, and welcome back to Advocating for the Aging. I'm your host, Victoria Shaw, a nursing home abuse and neglect litigation attorney at Locke's Law Firm. And today I have two very special guests for you. It is Karen and Gregg Frank. Karen is a physical therapist and Gregg is an occupational therapist and a certified aging in place specialist. And together they own Back Home Safely. And I wanted to bring them here today to show you and to help explain a little bit more about aging in place and aging at home and how to make that happen. So what does that look like and how have they gotten involved in it? They've been doing this for 16 years. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Karen and Gregg. And guys, say hello to everyone.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
All right, and why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and how you started it all, how you got into it?
Well, about 16 years ago, we were approached by a nurse case manager while we were working in the clinic as practitioners, who said that they had renovated a house for an injured worker. And they had hired a general contractor and they went ahead and renovated the whole house. When they discharged him from rehab, he wasn't able to use anything that they created in the house because the person was a builder and unaware of the disability that the actual worker had. So I checked out the house and I said, well, I know how to make it functional. I know exactly why it's not functional, and I was handy, so I decided to bring my tool bag over there and get it done for her, and we made it within a day. We were able to make it functional for this injured worker. And so then I approached Karen with this idea of maybe we should make a business out of this. This is something that we know needs to be done, and we have the ability to do it. And she agreed and supported it.
That's fantastic. And where are you guys located for Back Home Safely?
Well, we're in Randolph, New Jersey. We have our main office, which has an office warehouse and a showroom actually so people can actually see a lot of the different equipment that we use, that they decide to move forward with. And then we've ventured into central New Jersey now. So we have an office and warehouse in Morganville. Okay. But we cover the whole state between Ocean County level, Camden County, all the way up to Bergen County.
That's fantastic. So let me ask you, talk to me about Back Home Safely and what do you do for people outside? I know what you do in helping people to put in items into their home, and I think that's generally what people understand. Talk to us more specifically about what you do and the staff that you have and their specialties to try to help people to be able to stay in their homes.
Well, there's two categories of people that we work with. One is the category person who has fallen or have injured themselves in a certain way, and they are in rehab or they are in need of getting their house taken care of right now in order to live there right now. Then there's the other category, which is a little bit harder, is the category of saying, okay, mom and dad, you're aging. We're worried that you might fall someday, and we know that if we make these modifications, you may be able to live in your house for the rest of your lives versus having to leave your house that you love to go somewhere else because you did fall, you didn't prepare your house in time. Right. So those are the two people that we
And then in terms of staffing, were you asking too? Mm-hmm. So in terms of staffing, we have office staff who do intakes of calls and scheduling, and then we have carpenters and technicians who actually perform the modifications. And then we also have therapists that work for us and certified aging in place specialists. So they're the people who are going out to the homes and actually doing free assessments for any safety or accessibility needs. Mm-hmm. And then, if the family is left with the recommendations. And then if they feel like moving forward with any of the projects, our staff of carpenters and technicians will move forward with the work. We also have a marketing liaison and a marketing assistant as well.
Okay, so if I understand the process correctly, it sounds like somebody calls you, whether they're in need immediately or in future need, and trying to proactively look at what may come down the road, right?
Right, exactly.
And then when they call you, talk to me about what does an assessment mean, and who are the therapists that are coming out? What are they doing?
Well, we're therapists as well, so we do it as well. And then we have therapists who work for us, and they go to the home and sometimes actually speak to the practitioners that are working with them, the therapists that are working with them, to get a background, or a family member who's working, who knows what the case is. And then we start from outside the house, how we're going to be able to enter the house, get up and down the stairs, get in and out of the showers, in and out of the bathrooms, in and out of bed, anything that's necessary for the person to live there. And we just generate a list of all the things that we recommend that would help them to remain safely living there, and whether they work with us to get it done or whether it's something that they themselves do. When we leave them, they've got a list of everything that they need to be able to live there safely.
And sometimes we're meeting with the family members if the patient is still in the hospital or in a subacute facility, but or sometimes if they're aging in place, they're home already, and we'll speak with the patient there. But it's just so important that we find out the medical condition, because that's where we use a more patient-centered approach, and we're looking at that medical condition as well as the layout of the home to find out if it's a progressive disease or a non-progressive disease, because that's going to play a big part in the type of recommendations that we make. And we also want to know the goals of the patient. If the patient doesn't have the goal of needing to go upstairs to their primary bathroom and bedroom, and they're fine staying down below, then that's fine. Right. Whereas, if which most people want to be able to do is get up. In New Jersey, most primary bathrooms and bedrooms are upstairs. So most of the time they do want to go there. Yeah. And that's where that's really important. And then whether it's the progressive disease or non-progressive disease, if it's an orthopedic condition and they're going to be they're going to get better, then maybe they just want to rent equipment, or maybe we'll have a different idea of what recommendations we give versus someone with MS or ALS. That's a progressive disease.
I think that's absolutely fantastic, because I think you're looking at the whole situation, right? I mean, you're looking at what does this person need, but also what do they want, right? Because I think oftentimes people get into these situations and they say, well, I'm not ready for that. I don't need that, right? And then, I guess one of the questions that I would have as a potential family member, or looking at that in the future myself, is, do you stay on with people, or are you helping them to understand, well, look, I can help to put this in place now, but then, down the line, these are the things that you're potentially going to need. So it's not just here's a one-stop shop for one time, but if you need us, here's some additional things that we can do for you in the future if this does progress for you.
Correct.
That's exactly what we do.
That's great.
And also in terms of some people who, it's a lot of times it's the adult daughter who calls us, and they've been visiting mom and they realize she's just not safe on the stairs. And a lot of times the person doesn't want what they call handicapped equipment in the house. So sometimes things like just renting the equipment sometimes helps the mindset of, let me try it out. You could remove it if, not everything can be removed, but like stair lifts and ramps, those can all be removed. And this way they try it out. And if a lot of times they realize that it's a much safer option for them than not having it.
It's more helpful than hurtful.
Right.
So talk to me, you just kind of started to go into a little bit. What types of things do you help put into people's places to try to help them be able to stay at home? Talk to me about the items that you have, and what does that mean for people?
Stair lifts, ramps, grab bars. We do a lot of different types of home-style hospital beds, not the ones that look like you're a patient, but something that you could actually sleep with your spouse, because they come in all different sizes, but still allow for people to get in and out of bed. I know a lot of people who have trouble with their showers. They're stepping in and out of bathtubs all day. We rip the bathtubs out and make a walk-in or roll-in shower. Something where, again, with the people who are a little bit more sick, they have Hoyer lifts. We do ceiling lifts instead, so their family caregivers can help them with that.
We do other things that aren't as exciting, like elevated toilet seats and bidets, things to help someone, whether it's to get up and off the toilet or, to stay clean.
But I think that's really important, right? Because if you have somebody that may have leg weakness, and not be able to get themselves up from that 90-degree seated position. If you can help raise them up a little bit more, it's something that's small, but makes them more functional to be able to even have a little bit more independence themselves, right?
Exactly.
As opposed to having somebody come in and have to lift you up because you can't get yourself up, right?
Right. And one thing we try to look at too is the caregiver, where a lot of people are just focused on the patient. And as therapists, we were very much focused on the patient. But when you go into homes and you see these 85-year-old women lugging their husbands can weigh a lot out of chairs, you know, if the caregiver gets hurt, then it's a big problem.
Yes.
So we really try to do whatever we can to limit the amount of transfers someone has to do, to limit the exertion needed, whether it's from the patient or the caregiver. So we try to keep that in mind too.
I think that's absolutely fantastic because, and it's such an important point. You know, it's not just about the person themselves that needs help, but also who's living with them on a daily basis and how can they help them and keep them safe as well too.
Right.
So, you know, one of the other questions I have, and I've seen this a lot, is people will say, look, I have grab bars, I have this, I have that. But at the same time, it may not be in the right spot, right? So, you know, I know, you know, I'm going to assume that part of what you do too is also reassessing, you know, what they do have and maybe making suggestions on how to make changes to some of that, even though people assume that they were trying to do the right thing, but it may not be really what they need. Have you come across that?
Absolutely, all the time, sure.
What are some other examples that you've had?
Ramps. Like some people say, I have a ramp, and we'll go to the house and there'll be a piece of plywood, like at an angle like this, going up into the home, and it's really not at the right ratio of length of ramp to height of the steps, and it's not safe. So things like that, you know, the grab bars in the wrong place, that kind of thing.
Because I've seen it just as the example that I was speaking of with the shower, and you and I were talking about this just before this segment started. You know, one of the tricky things is in showers, you think, okay, well, I just need a grab bar in the shower. But truth of the matter is you really need one to get into the shower a lot of times. So having a grab bar on next to the door of the shower is also really important too, not just having one in the shower, right?
Right, so that's why we usually put a short vertical one in as you enter the shower, and then a longer one against the farther wall. But you have to also take into account the medical condition. If the person had a stroke and they have left-sided weakness, and that's where that horizontal grab bar is, it's not going to do them any good.
Right.
So then you like straddle the plumbing underneath the shower head, and then they could use that with their dominant hands.
So I want to talk to you guys too about chair lifts and stair lifts. You know, talk to me a little bit about that, because also we were talking about our experience with some of those things too, and it's not as simple as what everyone may believe it to be. So tell me a little bit about your experience with that, and explain to people what the difference is in them.
Well, the basic stair lift will go up and down a straight set of stairs. So if you're lucky enough to have a house that has one set of stairs, most stair lifts are going to be able to take care of that. They come with a little set of track that's cut to fit your stairs, and that'll work out relatively inexpensively, and it could also be rented. The problem comes in when you have two sets of stairs and a landing in between. If the person is well enough that they can't do stairs, but they can walk across the landing or transfer on a landing, we can do two stair lifts. But we did talk about the custom stair lifts that require a lot more money as well as a lot more time to get it custom made, and they cannot be rented. So you really have to take into consideration, again, the person's abilities and inabilities to which one is going to be recommended for them.
And why might somebody need a custom chair lift?
Well, because that set of track can only be cut to fit that straight line. Once it makes a curve, it's no longer going to be used for that.
So that last step that somebody may have, so you may think like it's straight, right? But you have that last step to get up.
Sometimes.
And sometimes for people that may not be a feasibility to do that, right?
Sometimes. So what we have is we've got in Randolph, we have what we call our solutions showroom, where we actually have 5 stair lifts set up there, and we have a platform, and we have rails, and if people are uncertain about their abilities or inabilities, they come and they try everything out there, and as well as 5 different brands that we carry, you know. And they're able to see which ones they like and which ones work for them.
Yeah, It's very interesting. Like some even have different seat belts, some are different size seats, and certain people just tend to like a certain brand. It's not like one is better than the other.
Okay. Well, guys, I think we're going to take a quick break, and I hope you all rejoin us again in just a minute to finish out with Karen and Greg and all of their services. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Bob Hochgertel from Kings Road Brewing Company. I'm here to tell you about a brand new show on RVN television called Cooking with the King. Each week, we're going to taste and sample some of the best beers the Kings Road Brewing Company has to offer. And we're going to talk to area chefs and restaurant owners as we pair our beer with their signature dishes. We're going to teach you how to cook and eat like a king. Cheers.
A stroke can be easy to detect. A loved one can't speak, perhaps they can't move. But there's another sign of a stroke that many of us can't see. It's called spatial neglect, and it can occur during or after a stroke, causing distorted visual movements. Fortunately, there's a solution by using optical prism technology during rehabilitation. If you or a loved one have experienced a stroke, ask your doctor about spatial neglect. Spatial neglect. See the whole picture at KesslerFoundation.org.
Are you burned out, disenfranchised, disengaged, extremely distracted? Do you feel that you're lost in semantics, over-leveraged, overwhelmed? My name is Lisa Fratelli, and I have a show on RVN TV, always streaming. The name of the show is The Neuroscience of Wealth and Well-Being. The intention of this show is to explain how you can get back to homeostasis, flow states, creativity. It's highly correlated with happiness and well-being. So you can get out of overwhelm, get out of burnout, not feel distracted, and get back to your life. You will hear from experts who will get you back on track so you can enjoy your life again. RVN TV, we're always streaming.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Advocating for the Aging. Again, my name is Victoria Shull, and today we have with us Karen and Greg Frank from Back Home Safely, talking to us about home modifications to try to keep people safely within their home, right?
Right.
So guys, I know we were just talking about all these things that you do, and one of the things that you were talking about that I find fantastic is that you have your own showroom, right? So I want to delve into that just a little bit more, because you said that people can come there and test out things. Talk to us about what that is.
Well, we have, one thing that people want is the reclining chairs. And there's many different reclining chairs with many different features on them. And very often they think they know what they want, but then when they come to the showroom, they realize that they want something completely different.
And they're recliner lift chairs, so they not only recline and go into many different positions, but they also lift you up, raise you up, so the ability to go from sitting to standing, you need a lot less exertion.
You're supported.
Yes,
right?
yeah, and it lifts you up, so there's a lot less energy that you need. But we've been actually using this for not only a lot of patients with multiple sclerosis or ALS or whatever. We've also been using it for a lot of post-surgical patients lately too, because a lot of them come out of the hospital after surgery and are in a lot of pain, and it's hard to sleep in a regular bed. So a lot of them, like double knee replacements, bilateral mastectomies, those types of people have been using it as well.
That's fantastic.
And the stair lifts we have there are very unique to each other, and they like to try those out. The beds, all the grab bars are there, all the different colors of them and textures and widths of them. So they really get more comfortable with what they think is going to work for them, not generically what's just going to work for everybody.
From a brochure and seeing
Exactly,
what that
right.
looks like, right?
And we have a shower system there too that it can get put in within like 2 days, that we could rip out a tub and put in the shower system, so that's there too, so people could see that.
That's great.
And just a lot of different options for people to use.
Well, I know you guys provide other services to the community, I think through education courses and that sort of thing. Talk to us a little bit about what else you're doing in the community.
Yes, we give a lot of continuing education courses to case managers, social workers, physical and occupational therapists on many different topics, including obviously home modifications, but also fall prevention. We just became certified fall prevention specialists. So we give a course on that. We give a course on amputations, on orthopedic and neurological conditions, and adaptive equipment.
And low vision.
Wow. And low vision. We give a course on
That's
low vision.
amazing. So you're actually also educating caregiver providers, right?
Correct.
That's fantastic. And then there's also, I think you guys also are active with support groups.
Yes, we're actually the ALS, the New York chapter, which encompasses New Jersey as well, is having a summit in May that we're participating in. And we also have spoken to their support group as well as other Parkinson's support groups, other different support groups.
Huntington's chorea we did.
Yeah.
And just to let them know what types of services you guys provide, or
Yes, we give a whole PowerPoint and discussion on all the different adaptive equipment that's out there, because a lot of times people have a challenge. There's obstacles in their homes and there's a challenge there, and they don't realize that there's actually manufacturers out there that made something that can help them not have that obstacle anymore. So it's very interesting. We love educating them and let them know what's out there and what can be done.
We try really hard to educate fellow therapists on, you're with somebody right now because of an acute injury they had. How do we take advantage of that situation, take that as an opportunity to say, hey, you fell this time, you got away with it, you're going to be all better. But how do we look into your lives to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And that's really our opportunity that we try to take advantage of.
You talked about grab bars before. We really try to encourage so many older adults to get grab bars, because whether they get it from us or somebody else, just 80% of all falls of older adults occur in the bathroom.
Yes.
So if you could think about how many falls can be prevented, like life-altering falls and readmission to a hospital, you just can't compare the cost of a grab bar compared to that. So we really try to encourage so many older adults to get grab bars.
And frankly, it's something that's not as expensive, that can help prevent a larger injury from happening. That could be a really expensive injury that could happen to that person, or a life-threatening injury that could happen to that person, right?
Right. So we always talk about a patient, John, who it's so much easier to convince him to get a grab bar a week after he fell versus that same week before he fell.
Well, look, I know you guys also brought us some photographs, so I'm going to ask that we share those, and if you guys can talk to us a little bit about what's in each photograph, and what type of recommendations that you have with people.
So those are lift chairs that we're talking about that all come in different colors and different sizes that will, as well as the fact that they're going to help you functionally live in your home, they're going to look really nice so that you can actually enjoy living there without making it look like it's a facility.
And there's a very versatile in the seating, having your back up, but having your legs up and being lying all the way down, whatever you need.
And that one on the front right actually does have massage and heat as well.
That's fantastic. So next up,
this is where we have our stairlift races. So there's 4 different brands of stairlift right there with different features on them as well that show people exactly, we might think we know which ones they're going to like for different reasons, but once they get there, they actually surprise us. They teach us what they're looking for, and on the far wall there's a rail there for going over with people how you might need different stair rails to work with.
And I think it's great because it gives them the idea too about what type of seat they may want, or how they want the buttons on the arms. You can see that even with some of those, the arms are a little bit lower, the back's a little higher, seats a little wider, right? So
exactly.
And people get to try them out at your showroom, right?
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are our grab bars. They come in all different sizes and shapes, and we continually to update the different ones that don't even look like grab bars. There's some over there that just look like a towel rack or a soap dish or a toilet paper holder. And that one on the bottom left, that's actually a seat that could be installed and then folded up out of the way, and it actually doesn't look like it's medically oriented. It just looks like something that's going to be comfortable in anyone's shower.
And it's very interesting. A lot of the manufacturers are understanding that the population's aging, and they know that there's a lot of needs of products out there, and they're coming out with more and more products every day for the aging population. So it's really exciting to see.
I was going to say I really like the chair, in this photograph, the shower seat, because as you said, it can fold back up, right? So if you have a spouse that's also a caregiver, or somebody else that's a caregiver that's also going to be using that shower, it's not something that is going to be in the way for that person if they're using that shower as well too.
Correct.
All right.
Well, that's just a client of ours who was able to use that lift, and he was able to come. He actually brought his dog with him that day to make sure that he could hold his dog on the lift as he went up and down, because his dog was aging as well, and that did help him determine which chair was going to be right for him.
I think that's really important too, because again, you know, we're not limited to who we are as just one person. We may also have pets, and we may also have all those sorts of things too. Is there anything else that you guys take into consideration as you're assessing the person? I know you said you assess them, what their goals are, what their needs are, what the house and everything looks like. But that's also a really good point, right? So when you're looking at pets, is there anything else that you do to try to help people?
Well, you know, there's one thing we haven't discussed, and it's usually the elephant in the room is the finances, and we were able to discuss with them their options on financing as far as, you know, who pays for different products in their lives,
Yeah.
and the longevity of which product is going to be with them, depending on their abilities and inabilities with their disease process. So there's different specific, like some stair lifts have manually can rotate, but sometimes if they're going to progress, some of them actually can push a button to rotate for them. It might last longer for them.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. What I want to do now is I want to bring up your logo, and I want you guys to tell everyone how they can reach you if they want to reach out to you for your services and all across the board, your services.
Thank you. Well, yes, they could reach us. They could look at our website. It's backhomesafely.com. They could reach us. Our main office phone number is 973-219-4147, or they could email us at care, C-A-R-E, @backhomesafely.com.
And that information is going to be at your website too, right? So if
Sure.
they didn't
Yes.
catch the phone number, they can
They can
go
fill out a
back there.
form right on the website. There's a form
Right.
to fill out.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. And give you a little bit of information, set the stage, right?
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely.
Well, thank you again, guys. We really appreciate you being here today. And join us again for another fantastic episode of Advocating for the Aging. And you'll look forward to seeing who's next.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.